Hello everyone, my name is Hasty Swampert and I am back to show you my 30-second clear of Purity Forest. And this time I ended up clearing it with Chikorita. And you may be looking at the top of the screen and you see that it's at level 29 and you're probably asking how did I get there? Well, here's the deal. I don't have it held on right now, but I ended up getting a tight belt early on, and at that point I asked myself, how much experience could I possibly get in this dungeon if I stay for a very long time on almost each floor at the beginning? So it ended up being, once I ran out of PP around like floor 8 or so, it was just struggling from like floor 8 until I think around floor 41. I did skip a few floors because of bad weather, or I was in danger of losing, because sometimes when you're hanging out of the stairs, two Pokemon will show up right next to each other, and it's sometimes tough to do a one versus two scenario. So there's that. But I do want to talk about Chikorita's stats, and I gotta say, they're not really that great. They're not terrible, but there are a lot of Pokemon that get better stats at that level than Chikorita. And yes, this is a starter and it is a decent Pokemon, but it is something to keep in mind. And it is also a decent leveler because you only need around, I think, 40 something thousand for 20, so not bad. But when it came to struggling, even though I was at like levels of like 20 something, even around like the 30s, I still couldn't take out Pokemon with one single struggle, which was sometimes tough because they can lower your defenses and it puts you more in danger. And I also stubbornly lost a Reviver Seed in the 20s, and I didn't actually get one since, so I had to be careful since then. And yes, I did have Pass Scarf, but I barely used it. So Warp Scarf was a big thing that I used. And getting this tight belt at the beginning was really critical because this was a run that was destined to fail because there was just a big drought of finding no apples on several floors. So I was stuck with like 3 grimy foods in my bag for several levels. I don't think I ate like 2 of them, but big apples were, and apples in general, were just very sparse. So I had to keep my tight belt on, barring like the few times I had to use Warp Scarf to kind of get out of a situation. But it was also incredibly disastrous during the last 20 floors because was also because I did mention that I was using struggle a lot, but I ended up having a serious issue with max elixirs because I ran out of PP and I had to use TMs on the floor, such as this secret power. Before this, it was Body Slam, which you actually get at level 29, and before this, it was Tackle. But I couldn't find an elixir, so I ended up picking up a secret power from a monster house on floor 90 out of all places to just give myself more PP. It's absurd. And Bullet Seed I found, I think, around the 70s or so. But then I found another Bullet Seed TM. So once I ran out of Bullet Seed PP, I just replenished. And Rest was a good find, and Attract was also a good find. But at this point, Bullet Seed was just two-shotting almost everything, so it really wasn't crazy. But if it just weren't for Tight Belt, this was a run that was set up for failure. And this was, I think, to finish off, I think my verdict on this is it's a decent Pokemon, but this was probably the worst run I've ever had to do in my opinion. Because to get to this, I only had 3 joy seeds that I found throughout the dungeon. The rest of it was organic leveling, and this run in total took me over 4 hours to do. I didn't do it in one sitting though. I think I did it on like 3 or 4 separate sittings, but it was just incredibly boring. So I think that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'm so happy this run was done because for some time Chikorita actually held the record for being the farthest in this dungeon at floor 78 before. So it's good that I did this clear. So leave a like for that, share with your friends, and thanks for watching.